Hi, welcome everybody, it's Mike Newton down here at a very cold Lytham Golf Academy today. We have definitely hit the winter here in the UK. Bobble hat is on, multiple layers, a bit like an onion here now. So this video here, we're going to have a closer look at the P760 iron from TaylorMade, but in the long iron and the short iron. So we've got a 4 iron and a pitching wedge. Had a lot of comments on my review of the 7 iron that I did with regards to the 4 iron, maybe having a little bit too much offset for a lot of people. So I wanted to really have a little look at that, get my hands on one. Luckily I have done. So I'm looking forward to get this video out to you guys and let you have a closer look at that 4 iron, as many of you may not have had a chance to have a look at this. So just before we jump into the video, if you haven't had a chance to subscribe, please do so. Very much appreciate it. There'll be an icon down there where you can go and hit the subscribe button, hit that bell icon so you get notifications any future videos landed on my channel. If you want to hook up on social media, stay in contact on my day-to-day sort of running, and then please hit the links in the description down below. Okay, so as mentioned, a lot of comments on my review video, the P760 iron. For me personally, I thought it was a superb iron. The 7 iron, what I tested in my review, the numbers were great, it looked superb, the feel was good. As I say, the numbers and distance it hit was right on the money for me. A lot of you guys were mentioning about the 4 iron, a lot of offset in the long iron, so I was very intrigued to get my hands on this, and luckily I've done a bit of digging and a few twisting of arms, and I managed to get hold of a 4 iron here and also a pitching wedge, and we're going to have a little look at this offset, hit some shots with it, let's see how it performs. Now what I'm just going to say before I do so, unfortunately, because I've managed to get hold of this, this is just a standard spec, standard length, standard lie in a Dynamic Gold 120 S300. So it's not perfectly spec to me, so we'd maybe just have to take that into account maybe when we look at the shots. But really, I want to have a look at this long iron. I was very impressed with the look of that 7 iron that I tested, but obviously I want to look at this 4 iron. So, straight away, putting this down by the golf ball, yes, there is a bit of offset there. Okay, so I've looked into this a little bit more detail and looking at the specs online. The measurement of this offset is 3.1 millimeters of offset in this 4 iron. Okay, now what does that mean? So I thought, well, let's have a look at some other like-for-like irons in this sort of category, this sort of performance, but players, maybe appearance of an iron in different brands, and see what their offset's like. And what I did see was, let me just check my notes here. So we saw the Ping i500, so similar sort of category to this, hollow design, but with that sort of more players look. Was 3.8 millimeters in offset, so actually a little bit more than the P760. And then I had a little look at the JPX 919 Tour iron, so quite a blade appearance, and they're less forgiving iron of the 3 new JPX 919 series, and that was 3.2 millimeters, so a fraction more than, again, the P760. So then I thought, I'll look at the colourway, so the X forged in the colourway, again, that forged head, that player's look, but with that little bit of cavity, again, very similar to what we're seeing here with the 760, and that was coming in at 3.3 millimeters of offset, so again, slightly more. So out of those 4 I checked, the P760 was actually the least amount of offset, which I thought was quite interesting, but yeah, again, a lot of you guys were mentioning they don't like this big offset. So why is there more offset in these longer irons? Now, again, we're looking at these 760s, they're a split cavity, aren't they? So we've got that speed foam in the long irons up to 7 iron, and then they're going into that, obviously, non-hollow, one-piece forge, and the 8 iron into the short iron there for more precision and control for those tighter pin spots. So generally speaking, these longer irons, we need that little bit of help, and most golfers do need that. So with a slightly deeper cavity, bigger in that hollow section, and then that little bit more offset will help to do a number of things. It helps with a little bit of flight in the golf ball, so it helps to get the ball launched a little bit quicker as you lose the loft. So this is lofted at 22 degrees on this particular 4 iron. So it helps launch the ball a little bit higher, and it also helps you just to square that club face a little bit more as well. So again, tends to see in the longer irons, it might be easy to sort of leak that ball left to right. So with the longer irons, just helps you to square that club face up that fraction longer. So before I talk too much about that, I'm going to hit a few shots and just see how this sort of feels to me. As I remember, this isn't quite as spec'd up to me. Well, it's not spec'd up to me, so just have to bear that into account. But I'll give this first one a hit. It's a very drafty, cold 6 degrees here today, but it feels like -6. But we'll get this first one hit. Yeah, feels good. Yeah, lovely feel to that. And that's what I basically saw with the 7-iron. You know, that speed foam there gives a very nice sort of muted sound to the club as you strike the golf ball, and it gives that nice sort of feel off the club face. And I don't know whether the foam actually gives you more ball speed. That's debatable maybe, but I think that hollow head, for me, I think gives you more of that speed, as the sort of a little bit of that trampoline sort of effect happens with the face of the club. Okay, so that was a decent start with the 4-iron, and that spun at just under 3,600, which is a decent spin number for a 4-iron, especially in a sort of a 22-degree loft area. So let's get this second one hit. Okay, that's a touch on the heavy side. A little bit of that right hand side. Okay, that's still got up there, it's scampered up there. I'm guessing that spin number's just going to drop. So that carried at 201, dropped off about 10 yards carry. Yeah, spin number's up there still, so it's 3,800. So I think, again, we saw some really good spin numbers at 7-iron in that right sort of area. And sometimes what you find is as you lose the loft and these more sort of techie clubs in a way with this speed foam in there, is the spin numbers get really sort of low, and it's then a bit harder to sort of control it. But what I think with the offset is just allowing that CG to come back. Obviously that cavity is going to be a little bit deeper in this longer iron than the mid iron, and definitely in the shorter iron. So that's all about trying to help that launch and keep that sort of spin up. So yes, there is a little bit of offset. I'm not a massive lover of offset, but again, when we look at those other brands there, they've all got offset in them. So it's maybe something that you've just got to sort of deal with, unless you're going into the likes of a pure blade, which maybe then the offset gets to sort of like 2 millimeters, which is obviously very sort of minimal, but there's not a massive difference here. Let's get this third one hit here. That's good. Just that was a little bit low in the face. That's flighted beautifully. Yeah, and still hit a sort of good number. So that's a low in the face strike. Felt that, but it didn't feel horrendous. Maybe that, again, that speed foam or that hollowness is just taking that tingy feel away, especially today because it's freezing, my hands are cold, and that didn't really shoot up into my hands. So forgiveness wise, I'll give that full marks there, because as I say, definitely didn't feel any sort of vibration firing up into my hands there, and that hit the target quite nicely. Let's just have a quick look at those numbers and those 3 shots with that 4-iron. Okay, so the 4-iron here, so we've got ball speed at 133, launching at 13.2 on average, and you see the spin numbers are really good there, averaging at 3729. Even though slight heavy one, which was the second one, slightly clean on that last one, identical spin numbers there. First one was a good strike there, so a good mixture of strikes, but keeping a good sort of spin number up there. So I know that's going to sort of control a little bit more when it comes into land. Peaking out 29 yards, descending at 40 degrees, an average carry at 206. Obviously, you can clearly see the better strike there at 212. Right, okay, so we've now got the pitch wedge in our hands. So obviously, we're going to lose speed foam. We'll lose the hollow construction. We're in a one-piece forged head, which is really what TaylorMade is saying is very geared around precision, control, hitting that into that really sort of tight pin spot. So wedge here is lofted at 46 degrees, so not as strong as maybe a cavity back, sort of more game improvement irons. So 46 degrees, a little bit more truer, or towards a truer side. Look wise, it's stunning. Again, very little offset here, so we're seeing like a progressive offset working through the set. So in that longer iron, we maybe just need that little bit of help, that little bit of spin on there. We see that little bit more offset. Again, whether you like that or not, that is very much down to your preference. Then as you work through into the more lofted clubs where you don't really need that help, then the offset becomes very minimal. So I'm hardly seeing any offset here with this pitch wedge. Beautiful rounded sort of shape, very stunning and classical look really there. Yes, there's a little bit of a thicker top edge than maybe a traditional blade, but it's a beautiful squat sort of look. Now again, apologies, but this is just standard length, standard lie. This feels incredibly short in my hands, being 6'5" and I'm pitching wedge, and it probably looks it, but we'll give this first one a hit. Okay, so that was a little bit skinny there. Might spin a bit that because I cut that bit skinny. Yeah, stopped pretty quick, so carried 124. That spun at 7,500, so maybe not as much spin as I'd like to see there, but the strike wasn't perfect in all honesty. Yeah, that feels stunning. Lovely contact there. Feels beautiful off the club face. Yeah, that had a bit more zip there, so slightly better strike. Again, carrying 124, and that one spawned, yeah, 9,000 there. That's the sort of number I'd expect maybe a sort of wedge to sort of spin is around that sort of 9,000 mark. So if you're wondering how much lie angle affects the actual shot direction, then you can see these first two shots, I hit those pretty well. And you see how far to the right, you see how they started right and try to peel right. That's all to do with the lie angle, because this isn't spec'd up to me. It's standard lie, standard length. So as I'm taller, I'm naturally going to be a little bit more that way. And because of the length of the shaft being too short, that's going to make that toe play more down or make the club play too flat. Plus it's standard lie as well, so that's like a double whammy there. So that's where these shots are really going off to the right of the target. So I'm going to try and square this one up. So I'm going to have to manipulate something here, but I'm just going to put as normal swing as I can on. Yeah, so I'll just drag that one now there. So I'm compensating there. So more of a, felt like a big drag there. Carry a little bit further. Strike was good. See that stopping pretty quick. 133. It's gone a little bit more left. It's gone a little bit further, but spinning at, yeah, again, around that 9,000 mark. So let's look at those numbers quickly with that pitching wedge. Okay, so pitch wedge there. So see ball speed at 99, launching at 25, and the spin on average at 8,500. So obviously that first one where didn't get the strike at all. So that's more me than the actual club. Last two were good strikes, so I'd expect it to be around that 9,000 mark there on a decent connection, and 126 on that carry number. So more than happy again with that control of the number, hitting into a flag. You know, you've got to think with that descent angle at 49, that spin at around that sort of 9,000 on the better strikes. That's going to stop all day long for me. Okay, so let's look at the long iron, that P760, the 4 iron, and also then that short iron in terms of the pitching wedge. So again, I was really intrigued to get my hands on these from the comments I've sort of seen, following my review of the 4 iron. Too much offset, it's not a good looking golf club. I can sort of see where you're coming from. Yes, there is a little bit more offset there, but I think that's there for a good reason. And what I'm seeing with the numbers there, again, backs up what I saw with the 7 iron. They are good numbers. I'm happy with that spin. I'm happy with the forgiveness in there. So it is that combo set. You're getting that help in those longer irons. You've got the precision as you go into the sort of shorter irons. Again, what we're sort of seeing there. There's no surprise to me in the numbers with that pitching wedge. Again, I'm happy with them. Very much in the right area for me. So I think these are a cracking set of clubs. Again, there's a lot of talk about the price. I don't think they're as expensive as what initially thought there. You know, very similar price point to the P790, so they're no dissimilar really on the terms of the price there. So I think it's a great set of golf clubs, and I think this will sit in well for a lot of sort of maybe mid to low handicap golfers who need that little bit of help in the long irons, but want that precision and that short iron, but want that look and that sort of players sort of feel really, and that forged sort of feel also. So tick a lot of boxes for me. More than happy with them. Let me know your thoughts. Comment down below. Is that 4 iron too much offset for you? Would you want less offset? It's an interesting one to look at. I think the wedge is absolutely stunning there. So let me know your thoughts. Comment down below. As I say, hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. You'll be able to follow my Instagram, which is at MNGolfCoach, and also Twitter at MNGolfCoach. Let's hook up on there. Let's stay connected. Let's talk. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Always appreciate it as always, and hopefully we'll catch up with you all very soon.